Good morning, all, and it's nice to see you and meet you on this Sunday again. Today, we'll be discussing about the NetOps with Ansible. NetOps is nothing but network operations and network automations, I can just say. Everyone can hear me. Is it okay? My voice is okay. Can you hear me on? Please answer. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So last week I was talking about the FI LTM, that is a local traffic manager. Because of the market trend is like that, whoever is coming as a network engineer, he should not be just experienced on routing and switching. Either he must be working on multiple platforms of the Cisco switches as well, or voice or something like that. But they are looking for some the extra skills from the network engineer like that. Either he should be having some kind of uh, load balancing skills and firewall skills, as well as now they are looking for kind of network operation skills also. Network operation is not so new. Everyone is working on the same field. I am also working in the same field. I used to take some tickets and working on with the troubleshooting things with online with the customers, and the three shifts and all. I used to do that in the previous companies and all. Now I'm into the designing, so I'm not doing any shift or something, but still I have calls which is coming on call. I just need to be on to troubleshoot all these things and all. So that is nothing but our network operations. Network operations involves maintenance, upgradations, downgradations, patches installing, and replacements of the hardware and upgradation of your OS or something like that, or just some activity which has been happening on the third party side. So customer asks us to stay with us, like stay with the engineers, set of engineers over there. That is also like maybe like a data center activities, data center migrations which are going on here and there. Like most other companies are nowadays going for a data center migrations as well. From the data center, they try to migrate it to the some other cloud. Either it is a AWS cloud or Azure cloud or Google cloud. Many other clouds are also there. So they try to remove the dependencies on the on-premises as well as the local data centers, because they are paying a hefty money for to maintain their network or something. So that would be the issue for the people who go for the automations or something. Automations are very much in demand. Automations are very much in demand after this cloud networking. Cloud computing has come up into the place. Cloud computing, in the sense which we are talking about, that not only just depending on the on-premises or a local data center or network or something, we will be constructing everything on the cloud itself. Cloud in the sense, like I just see people who are, the companies which are going for the cloud has been nowadays, it is getting very much increased because of this corona, and people are staying home and they start working on and everything. So maintaining the connectivity for the on-premises as well as the local data centers is becoming a challenge nowadays. So when it is coming to the public cloud or something like AWS, I'm sorry, AWS or Azure or Google Cloud or something like that, it is always available 24/7. They have a very good infrastructure inside that we will be always connected to our own private cloud within the public cloud itself. So when it comes into this, like because people start believing that the cloud can do wonder for them, and there is a like the what do you say, the downtime and other the maintenance things are very much getting reduced nowadays. Because of that, little bit of with a little set of engineers, we can maintain all the networks as well. You don't require to do any kind of a three shift activities or something like that. Maybe if it is required a three shift activity, in the sense maybe like you can keep in the nights, one or two engineers is more than enough for us, because public cloud people, public cloud engineers are maintaining everything so beautifully. So we will not have any kind of issues at all with our on premises or any kind of an activity which we have already migrated to the cloud or something. So one way, if you see that the productivity has been gone up so high, productivity in the sense it has been many folds, it has been increasing. Earlier, the companies were registering 25% of the profit. Nowadays, they are registering around 60 to 70% of the profit. Because of that, they are going for a cloud activities. Even the on-premises servers also getting migrated nowadays. They are not going to keep anything in the down the line, 2 years or 3 years. If you just see that, there won't be any even login server also will be there in the cloud only. Like AD login or LDAP login, which is authenticating everyone to utilize the resources in your company or the third party or the customer network or something. So now everything is based out of the cloud only. In the cloud, the automation was very much has been discussed. Automation in the sense, automation is not getting restricted within the network or something. It's not the only domain I am talking about automation. Automations are happening on every other domains. Domains in the sense, it's a software domain, database engineers, and the application provider engineers, and the people who are developing new applications for the mobile platforms. So every other, like the domains which are going for an automation. When we talk about the automation in the sense, we require to have the skills of the programming skills are required. People are having very much in confusion in their mind that whether I can do any kind of programming, because we are not supposed to do any kind of a programs in the sense we are not going to write any code or something like that. I grown up in that way that I used to do some bigger projects for, like, when I was in Bombay, I was doing some bigger projects like that. All the MNCs were about to come to India like that. That time I was just doing all the projects like an on field on job. Like I just need to go there and set up the network and like installing all the servers, creating the logins, giving some rights and permissions, connecting their central site to the remote sites or something like that. That is like a physical activity was there. Means in person I need to go there and do all these things. Now the entire scenario has been completely changed. Even though if it is an on-premises, we giving it to the third party or something like that, they will come and do that or something. And most of the companies which we are now working here, like most of the companies doesn't have any presence at all. Like an MNC must be there. Some other companies here and there, they'll just keep some kind of a registered office or something. They're not having any network or something. So what we do normally, we directly connect to the internet and to connect to our own resources. So completely the paradigm shift has happened. So there is no much on-premises activities are happening as at least now. So this is the better time for that. We will be looking for and learning a new skill about operations with doing with automations. Operations in the sense we all having kind of an ITIL activity in the sense of ITIL procedure. If you see that, there will be incident management, then there will be a change management, and there will be the last one will be like a problem management, which we normally do that. Incident management, as and when the issue occurs, troubleshooting should be started. The customer knows that which number to call to get engaged with the NOC or SOC, means a security operating center. So once the level one people are assigned for the job, in the sense, they will start troubleshooting it by logging into their servers or routers or firewalls or load balancers, whatever it may be the network device. And they try to find out by the logs only, they'll just find out that. And if it is not possible for them to do that, they will involve the L2 engineers and L3 engineers according to the escalation levels it will be going, and as well as the severity level also it goes on. So this is a normal incident management, which we call it as. When the incident management comes up like that, there are some changes are required for that router to keep up updated for the latest configurations or something like that. We will start, creating in a change ticket. Change ticket, when it is getting created, change in the sense what asset is going to get affected and how many people are going to get affected, how many people are going to get, getting the benefit of this particular changes, something like that. How long this particular router is going to be down. Because of this router is down, how many other resources will get a hit. Means they may be getting the updates from this core router. They may be getting that kind of routing updates or something like that. Access list has been written on this, like that. So how much effect is going to happen because of this change is going to happen. So there will be a change management which will be taking care of all these things, and they will be deciding that there will be appropriate timing and date has been fixed on that the change can be done on that. Until then, some workarounds will be suggested for the clients, they will be going on. So once the change date has been confirmed, the ticket has come out to the L2 engineers will be doing some kind of a changes over there, and they finish it out and they send a mail to all the people like, changes are done, please go and check it out for 1 day or something like that. Then after that, everything goes well, then we'll go ahead and close the case. When the similar changes are keep on happening on the same router, same device, same location or something like that, we will be creating a problem case. Why this is occurring, reoccurring every time? What is the root cause of that? So we need to find out the root cause analysis. Once it goes to the root cause analysis, in the sense, the problem engineers, problem management engineers has been assigned to that. They will be definitely in the L3 people, and they will be going through all the changes which has been performed on that router or the device, to understand that what went wrong, what could be the permanent solution for that. So that is nothing but I'm creating an root cause analysis, RCA, for that. So this is a normal activity which has been performed by every other company in the world, because we are all going through the ITIL implementations as well. So this is a routine task which is keep on going on like that. So what could be an automation can do wonder in this kind of troubleshooting industry, or the changes happening on the devices, or the problem management and fixing it, and as well as the incident managers, incident tickets can be, how it can be reduced. So when I feel this problem when I was in a company that we are about to make a change in a day, maybe at that time I was doing the night shift alone. In a day, in the sense like in my own shift for 8 hours or something, I used to do the change. Some noise is coming, please mute your mic. Okay, thank you. So when I am making the changes, in the sense I was about to make the changes in near about 75 to 80 routers in one shot. Means I need to log into that router, make the change, save and come out, verify it, do that. Then again log into the second router, third router, fourth router, fifth router. So all the accessibility need to be checked first. Changes need to get performed. It should be saved as well. I need to pick up all the logs and keep it in my own notepad, because I need to update the cases, whatever the tickets which I am handling on that. So you can think of that 75 routers has to be performed by a person in 8 hours. It may not be a problem. It may not be so easy. If the changes is very much like, like one or two lines changes, like a description changes on an interface, or host name or something like that, or if I'm adding some DNS servers to the servers, or if I'm adding to the NTP servers also. Otherwise, I am pulling the device into my own kind of a network management or something like that. I'll be putting like standard templates will be installed. So everything is a problematic. Everything is a time consuming. That's what I'm telling. So if one router takes at least 15 minutes to complete everything without making any mistakes or something like that, you can think of that 75 routers. How do I complete it in 8 hours? It's not feasible. It's not possible. So what I do, I will be doing at least 20, 25 routers, and I'll keep the changes running on the second day also. That makes a problem with the customer. Like he thinks that these guys are not doing the work, and they are taking a lot of time for that, and the verification is taking a lot of time for them. They couldn't do that performance so very well, and it is getting that like what is that some kind of a clock and all which will be running on, because the people will be using the clock only. Find out that how long it takes for a customer to finish the job or something. So that makes the SLA goes down, site level agreement, like that. Service level agreement, sorry. So these are all making the overall performances low, and it's taking very much of a time consuming, and the people are not so happy about that. Even the work has been done so beautifully, after 4 days or something like that, they think that this work was very slow. So this is the place that the automation comes into that picture. Automation in the sense, automation is also being done by the engineers. There is nothing like that artificial intelligence or machine learning is doing the automation. No, not that way. That is very far behind, very far like that. What do you say? Ansible is not going until that level or something like that. So automations in the sense, there are doing the automation, there are many other things which has been already there in the market. Market in the sense, what I say, in the Linux arsenal, you used to write some shell scripts at those times. Shell scripting in the sense, it's nothing but a performance. It is going to do some actions. It is going to perform certain actions for at the time of the customer is agreeing for that. Like that is nothing but shell script. We will be writing the shell script, and we will be running it with a thing called cron, that is called as a cron D. That is a cron D. That is mean like a command on run like that. Cron D and AT and many other things. So those automations are already been there. It is called as a batch jobs. In Windows environment, we call it as a batch jobs. So those are all run for the service environment at that time, 90s itself. The late 90s and all, you can just see that. So that is the name has been completely changed. Now they're making it like an Ansible Chef, like Jenkins and all these things that they are talking about, that implementation tools or automation tools. And when we are talking about the cron things and all, like when we cron manager, something like that, when we are just running on those things and all, that were very much of a restricted to the service environment only. Very little the people are doing for a network devices also. That time we were doing the SNMP to do all these things, simple network management protocol. We used to make some changes. We will be giving some rights and permissions for the users to log into that and finding out what is going on in that. And we were restricting with their permissions like that, what level of access they can have on the particular devices or something like that. That was being done by that. But now what we are doing now is we are implementing these all automation things on network, mainly network, because I am a network engineer. In the network, we are very much okay with that. We are very much happy with that. Ansible, how does it been work out? And Ansible is being used by every other platform: server automation, database automations, application automations, software SDK automations, cloud automations, cloud services automations. Every other automations has been performed with an Ansible, and Ansible is an open source. It's an open source. Open source in the sense it is completely free. No need to pay any money for to write your Ansible scripts or installing the Ansible in your environment and start automating your entire network. Automation can be done through the Ansible. Nobody is going to ask you any kind of a license or something. It is not at all. It is completely free. So free in the sense what it is a open source and it is a free to download and start installing it and start managing all these things. But only the problem is that we need to install the Ansible in the Linux platform only. The problem. Linux platform in the sense either we can do it in a Red Hat platform, CentOS platform, or Ubuntu platform, or 1,000 types of Linux which are there. Every other Linux will be supporting the Ansible. For Windows, no Ansible. Windows Server or Windows workstations or Windows 10 will not be able to install the Ansible. Still, we can do it in Windows by installing a virtual machine of any one of the Linux. Then we can run the Ansible in that. So we can manage the Windows servers also by the Ansible. So Ansible can do management of Windows servers, Linux servers, and other all the network automation things like network boxes. And Ansible is not restricting its automation stuff for any kind of a box which is available in the world. Means like FI load balancers can be completely automated by Ansible. Palo Alto firewall, Checkpoint firewall, Fortinet firewall, whatever the firewall you name it out, we can manage it with an Ansible. And all the network devices which I'm talking about, Cisco, Juniper, Cisco Nexus, Arista boxes, so like all the boxes, whatever the boxes which we are having in our current scenario, everything can be done managed by the Ansible. Can I learn Ansible? I am not at all a network. I'm not at all a programming guy. I don't know anything about the program at all. I don't know even how to write a one-liner program like that. People used to do in the Linux like that echo command and all they'll type it. They don't even know that. I don't even know that. How do I do the programming stuff or something? But it is very easy. I'm telling you, it's very easy. It's very easy to learn Ansible. You don't require any programming skills at all. I'm underlining the same thing. You don't require to know about any programming skills at all. What Ansible is doing it, Ansible is like it is sitting in between the devices and you. And Ansible will be doing all the jobs for us, and it will be very much faster. It will be doing that work. Faster in the sense, I was just explaining about the 25 routers installing, sorry, 75, 80 routers installing with some small changes and all like that. It was taking a lot of time for me. So that can be performed in just within 10 to 15 minutes itself. Done. All 80 routers are done in one shot. It's possible. But who will be doing it? Ansible will be doing it. But we are in a position to write the playbook. It is called as a playbook here. Ansible playbooks need to be written. The playbooks will be containing certain operations that we just need to learn it. Means like a syntaxes need to be learned, and the way it should be organized means a script, which is how does it getting organized or something. Script in the sense, please don't panic. It is not a C or any other software people who are writing the pages and pages of codes. We are not going to write in that way. We will be writing it in a very minimal way to learn to start something like that new. And it is very easy to understand. It is written in English only. It look like more of an English sentence only to understand that so very easily like that. So there is a structure is there, form is there. Accordingly, we just need to fill up all these things so that the Ansible will do the job for us. Definitely. That is why it is called as a network operations. Network operations includes upgradation, management, troubleshooting, and patches, and everything can be done. Backup things, and many other things, whatever we normally as a system administrators, like a network system administrators, server administrators. Their daily day-to-day job can be very much easily automated by using that Ansible. And Ansible is nowadays it has been acquired by Red Hat. And what Red Hat is doing it, they are not completely doing that something like that, but they created one kind of software SDK that is called as an Ansible Tower. They are calling it as Ansible Tower in the sense that will be giving you the GUI based environment for you, so that Ansible can be easily managed like that. So for those Ansible Tower implementations on a Red Hat box is a paid one. That is only the paid one. Ansible is not. Ansible is not paid. Ansible is free. But you are looking for an Ansible Tower to manage your entire network. Either it is a Cisco routers or Juniper routers or Arista routers, or even the Windows servers or Linux servers when you try to manage database servers you manage. If you are going to manage it through the Ansible Tower, then you'll have to pay for it. That comes with a corporate license. Even that Ansible Tower also we can try it out with a evaluation license, 30 days to learn that only. We will not be able to manage that entire the network with that evaluation license. It's not possible. And would like to say something under the underline. Even the Ansible Tower also requires a script need to be written and uploaded. I'm telling you again, script we just need to write. Scripts are called as here it is called as a playbook. Those playbooks has to be written by you according to your own environment and the devices, involving the proper roles and commands and everything. It should be uploaded to the Ansible Tower so that the Ansible Tower will manage it. Management will be easier. You don't need to run any commands like that with the Ansible, what we now normally do in the command line interface. We will be able to do it with the Ansible Tower itself. In Ansible Tower, there is an option is there, you can write the scripts over there, but you should know how to write the script. So don't panic to start with any kind of a network operations. This automation has come up in every other domain in the IT industry. That's what I would like to say that. Even Android programmers have started using the automations, and iOS programmers are doing that, and application developers which are doing that. And in the cloud, which we have a lot of automation skills, a lot of automation things are there. Like Lambda function is there. That is nothing but an automation. AWS is offering that. Like many other things are there. We just need to learn that. So only thing is that if you know us basic programming skills, like so that's why I'm always asking with my people, my students, that please learn Linux. Any Linux is okay. You start with the CentOS or you start with Ubuntu, but Ubuntu is very bad. Why I'm saying that? Because it is completely GUI based. You will not learn the CLI commands you will not intended to learn the CLI commands in Ubuntu because it is everything is graphical. So please don't go to Ubuntu immediately. It's very easy, like the Windows 10 only it will look like exactly. So you will not you'll not be interested to learn any kind of commands over there in the Ubuntu. Plus, please start with that CentOS or something like that. That will give you added advantage. And CentOS is a clone of the Red Hat. So installation of the Ansible Tower and Ansible packages and everything is very easy for that. So please try to learn the Linux first to start with the Ansible, because Ansible can be only installed in the Linux platform. Either it is Ubuntu or CentOS or Red Hat or Linux Mint or Manjaro Linux, like Arch Linux. So many Linux are there. I'm a Linux enthusiast. That's why I'm not promoting it, but what I say, this current scenario has made everyone to learn the Linux and Ansible, so that you will be able to survive in the market, and as well as all the resumes require at least one automation skills from you. Either in it updated with Ansible, Python is always there. Python is so harder. I don't want to hide anything from that because I'm an engineer. It's very harder. Python is to learn is very harder. Monthly, at least 3 to 4 months, you need to learn the basic Python. Then you can come to the automation things on that. Or you just go with the scripts whoever is given you. Then you just start learning with the scripts itself. It will take a lot of time for you. But Ansible is not in that case. 10 to 15 days you can make up on your own. You will write your own script. You don't even think about that. You don't even believe that you start writing the codes on Ansible. So it is very easier. So that's what I would like to say to everyone, that please start learning any one of automation, either Python automation or Ansible automation or Jenkins automations. But for network engineers, I would like to recommend and I would like to suggest or I would like to give an advice, sir. Please learn Ansible. There are so many videos out there in the YouTube. Not only me, there are many people who have already done a lot of Ansible coding things and other things from the scratch itself. ABCD, they will start with that. You can learn that. You can learn on your own. Once you cross your limit of that 8 years, 9 years experience in the industry means every other company will be looking for that. You will learn on your own hands. You will not depend on the company to train you or something like that. Because there are so many channels nowadays available. Perfect channels from scratch to the professional level channels are there. You can subscribe to those channels and watching all this and doing with their own hands. That is more important. Just watching doesn't make anything, because if you are watching a James Bond movie, you will not become a James Bond. You should be performing like him. Then only you will be get a chance to work in the Bond movies or something. That's the same thing. Like if you are going for an automation things, just watching the video and you go attend the interview, blank, zero. They will catch you in the second question itself whether you have done it or not with your hands or something. So it is not possible. Just watching video will not work. Install it in your laptop, okay, and get the iOS routers, get the Arista routers, get the Juniper boxes, and install it out and manage yourself and try it out yourself. Make mistakes, crash it out, work out everything. In a month, you will be coming into the level that you will be completely confident and you will be able to attend the interviews. Nowadays, there are 3 to 4 skills are mandatory for a network engineer. One is like routing switching, you should be knowing. It's like a daily idli in your plate. It should be there. It's like a daily coffee. Next, they'll ask for one kind of a firewall, either one, either Palo Alto, Checkpoint, or Fortinet, or Cisco FTD or something like that. Then the next, they'll be asking for any load balancer skills, Nginx, F5, Citrix load balancers, something like that. The last one is nothing but the cloud. Cloud related means there will be an automation. Either one of the cloud you should know that. Either AWS you do work on, Azure you work on, or Google Cloud you work on, along with network automation skills are required. So 5 mandatory skills I would like to stress. One is your basic skills on routing switching or voice or security, whatever it may be. Then it comes like firewall experience. Then it is a load balancer experience. Then a cloud experience. Cloud experience in the sense cloud computing experience, either AWS or something. Then last, network automation skills. It is very much required. Nowadays, I see many other companies are asking the Python. It is a problem. Python, I'm sorry. Python is not so easier, but we can still learn, because everything we learned only we come up to this much level. Correct now. Like that, Ansible, we can take that. Maybe I'll plan for one more session on Python by next week. Maybe I'll do that. First, let's see today the Ansible. We will see. So now we will see the slides. Let me go here. NetApps with Ansible. Ansible is simple, human readable automation. No special coding required, needed. Tasks executed in order. It's like an access list, you'll be writing that. Get the productive quickly. So this is a simple and powerful application deployment, configuration management, workflow orchestrations, orchestrate the application lifecycle, agentless architecture, uses the OpenSSH or WinRM. WinRM is used for Windows management. OpenSSH used for Linux-based boxes. All the network boxes which we are handling it, either Cisco, Arista, Juniper, Fortinet, whatever it may be, they all Linux boxes only. We can manage all the network devices using the SSH. And if you like to manage a Windows server, means you require WinRM. Windows server as well as a Windows 10 desktop or something. And no agent to exploits or update. Nothing need to be installed in the routers or switches to manage, to write, and to upgrade everything through the Ansible. It is not required. Means Ansible master will have its all, like everything is installed in the Ansible master. Let me take it as this is a master, and this is one router, this is another router, this is a firewall. Okay, and master will be controlling everything. For each and every firewall or for each and every router, the particular router vendor is giving you a set of roles. It's called as a roles or something. So those roles are free. We can download it from their own website and we can integrate it to the Ansible master here. Once you integrate it here, then you will be able to manage the Cisco, Juniper, Palo Alto firewall, everything we can manage. So by time, like that, they will be keep on updating their roles and other things. We are in a position to go and find out that what the updates has come up newly. We need to upgrade those things with our Ansible boxes. So Ansible in the sense like Ansible currently the version 2.99 is running. Ansible version is 299. That is what running currently. 3 also has come up. People doesn't want to upgrade this, but we are in some places we are using that 2310. That is a version which we've been using on that Ansible version I'm talking about. So these are all like that versions, updates, and all other things. We just need to take care of it. And Ansible upgradation path in the sense set up playbooks need to get updated properly so that that can reflect with the new Ansible commands or something. So that we need to do the daily automation as well. The automation in the sense is not just a one-day job. You do the automation, all the 1,000 routers will be managed automatically. Not that way. We may have to do the management of those things also because a lot of upgrades coming up either in the third party or Cisco routers or other things. If it is iOS upgraded, then it may not be properly talking to the Ansible roles. Then we'll have to come up and check it out in the Cisco side that whether these roles are compatible with the new iOS or something like that. So,
How are you, sir?
yeah, yes.
My good name is Hassan. I used to talk with you last time.
Okay.
And are you still currently talking about the Azure?
Azure, yeah, Azure. I will take that. Yes, why not?
No, right now, are you talking about the Azures or not?
Means I didn't understand.
No, I'm saying, right now, are you teaching the Azure class?
Yeah, I take that. That is a different session, different box. Different kind of a setup. People are coming with the different sessions. I used to take that. Yes, I do that.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm interested in Azure. That's why I'm asking for.
No problem, no problem. I can give me your email address or something like that. I'll get back to you. But let's see now the Ansible. Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is the Ansible session. Thank you very much. So the agentless, that's what I was talking about. Agentless in the sense we don't need to install anything on the boxes which we are going to manage it. Either as a Cisco box or Juniper box or it can be a Palo Alto firewall. Nothing need to be installed as an agent in the boxes to get managed by the Ansible. Means Ansible will manage everything. In the Ansible box, we will install per vendor roles. We will install it so that the Ansible will go and talk to the each and every other vendor. Let's see the next one. When you automate, you are accelerating team impact, save time and be more productive, eliminate the repetitive tasks. This is what we are normally do that. So many changes which are coming up for a same device means that is a repetitive tasks. So fewer mistakes and errors, definitely. When the script has been written so properly, then mistakes and errors will not come up. Improve collaboration and job satisfaction. These are all will come up later once you are come over with that. Means like once you understand Ansible completely, then you'll have a job satisfaction. Otherwise, it will be like a hell for you. When you start doing something new, it will be a bigger problem for you. Then enterprise impact, overcome the complexity, more resources for innovation, increase accountability and compliance. These are all corporate level things. So what normally we do team impact, we can just see that saving the time and be more productive means your work can be finished faster, so that you will be getting more work as well. That is different one. Eliminate the repetitive task. We are not going to do the same task again and again. Means let's just go and check it out how many access lists are implemented on this. We need to run all the commands. Better you write one small script and run it on 1,000 orders in one shot. You get the results. Then you just filter it and send it to the customers. It's like that, and we don't make much mistakes around it. The next one, what is Ansible? Ansible is an open source automation tool or platform used for IT tasks such as configuration management, application management, infra service orchestration, and provisioning. This all has been done. I already discussed about this. Automation is crucial these days with IT environment that are too complex and often need to scale too quickly for system administrators and developers to keep up if they had to do everything manually. That is what automation. Because of that cloud environment, we have started installing so many kind of routers and switches, and the network has been getting so heavy. Firewalls, we are installing that every other point of that we are installing the firewall. So that growing like the resources are growing like heavily. So managing them will also be bigger challenge for that. So at that time we will be able to do with that Ansible. So Ansible do wonder for us. It frees up the time and freeing the time and increasing the efficiency. Ansible is rapidly rising into the top of the world as an automation tool. Definitely, this is a true word. Everyone is going for Ansible. Advantages of Ansible: free. It's an open source tool. Very simple to set up and use. No special coding skills are necessary to use playbooks. Okay. Powerful. Ansible lets you model even highly complex IT workflows. Flexible. You can orchestrate the entire application environment, no matter whether it is deployed, where it is deployed. You can also customize it based on your needs. That's a flexible thing. Agentless. You don't need to install any other software or firewall ports on the client system you want to automate. You also don't have to set up separate management structure also. That's what, just to put in one Linux server, install the Ansible software in that, and put all the roles in there. Start writing all these things. Just that's enough. Your master is ready. So your entire network can be managed through the Ansible. You don't need any extra hardware for that also. Efficient, because you don't need to install any extra software. There is more room for application resources on your server. Okay, in the same server itself, we will be able to install it, but we don't do that because it will be a central point of failure or something like that. We will do it in the, as an Ansible master. We are all having an Ansible master, like one server, we dedicate that. We will do that. And features and capabilities. What all Ansible can do: configuration management, application deployment, orchestration, security and compliance, cloud provisioning. Oh, great. Configuration management. Ansible is designed to be very simple, reliable, and consistent for configuration management. Ansible configurations are simple data descriptions of infrastructure and are both readable by humans and parsable by the machines. All you need to start managing systems is a password or an SSH key. That's what all things required for a configuration. An example how easy Ansible makes configuration management. If you want to install an updated version of the specific type of software on all the machines in your enterprise, all you have to do is to write out all IP addresses of the nodes, also called as a remote host, and write an Ansible playbook to install it on all the nodes. Then run the playbook from your control machine. That is a master. From the master, you will write one script for to update all the software in the 1000 routers. One script is enough. If all the 1000 routers are Cisco, then you will make it as like a one playbook or something. If you are having like 1000 routers are dispersed, like one is Juniper, around 400 of Juniper, 300 as a Arista, 400 or something. Accordingly, we can modify the script. Even all the different vendor equipment can be managed with just a single script or something. It is very much possible. Configuration also can be done, but that requires an expertise on the Ansible side that can come up once you start writing all these things. Next, application deployment. Ansible lets you quickly and easily deploy multi-tier applications. You won't need to write a custom code to automate your system. You list the task required to be done by writing a playbook, and Ansible will figure out how to get your system to state you want them to be in. Wow. In other words, you won't have to configure the applications on every machine manually. When you run a playbook from your control machine, Ansible uses SSH to communicate with the remote host and run all the commands. That is nothing but a task. Every other command can be run with one single SSH session. Actually, Ansible is making an SSH session to your remote devices to run the playbook and perform the tasks. That is an application deployment. Orchestration. As the name suggests, orchestration involves bringing a different elements into beautifully run whole operation, similar to the way the musical conductor brings the notes produced by the all different instruments into a cohesive artistic work. For example, with the application deployment, you need to manage not just the front end and the back end services in your databases, but the databases, network, storage, and so on. Everything can be done. You also need to make sure that all the tasks are handled in a proper order. Ansible uses automated workflows, provisioning, and more to make orchestrating easy. And once you have defined your infrastructure using Ansible playbooks, you can use them. Same orchestration wherever you need to, thanks to the proper portability of the Ansible playbook. These are all coming under the orchestration skills. This mostly we are doing the change management and we are doing the report generations and all we do with the Ansible. And management is very much easier. Monitoring and other things are going very much easier for with the Ansible on this. You don't require any separate tool for that. SNMP and all, it's not so much required. Security and compliance. As with the application deployment, site-wide security policies, such as firewall rules or locking down users, can be implemented along with the other automated process. Even firewall rules also can be updated. If you configure the security details on the control machine and run the associated playbook, all the remote hosts will automatically be updated with those details. That means you won't need to monitor each machine for security compliance continually manually because it is automated. And for extra security, an admin's user ID and password are not retrievable in plain text on Ansible. We can do that. That is called as a vault. You can write some vault. Vault in the sense we are going to keep it in a safe locker like that. And cloud provisioning, first step in automating your application's lifecycle is automating the provisioning of your infrastructure. With Ansible, you can provision cloud platforms, virtualized hosts, network devices, bare metal servers. Even we can do the automation for a VMware also with this Ansible. VMware ESXi, like creating the virtual machines and allocating CPU and memory, hard disk size, and choosing the operating systems. Everything can be done. That is nothing but the cloud, which we are doing it in the cloud. We are installing the EC2 machines on the AWS by using the Ansible. Possible. We can do that. Cloud formation is there. Templates are there. Like that, we can do with the Ansible. In the networking side, because we are concerned about the network side, in the networking, what all the platforms are supported by Ansible? There is no end to it. I just took it only what all things are there. There is a list of devices which goes over 4 or 5 pages or something. So you can just see that. See, all Cisco can be done, which we will see that normally. ASA, iOS, iOS XR, Nexus also there. And you can just see Arista. Arista is there. F5, 40 OS. Juniper, you see that? Palo Alto, Nokia routers are there, SROS. Like that, this list is going on heavily. Let me go to the next page also. And like that, it's so many boxes are there. And web infrastructure and clustering. In that web infrastructure means we are nowadays we are talking about so much of a Kubernetes. We can do the Kubernetes automation from Ansible also. Apache, which we normally do that for web servers and other things. Django management, HT password, Jenkins, Jira, Pacemaker, Zookeeper. So many other things are Consul. Consul is coming from that our HashiCorp, that is the Terraform things. So this all can be done with that Ansible. This is coming under the topic of web infrastructure and clustering. Next one is the databases. These are all the databases can be managed by the Ansible. InfluxDB, Redis, React, MS SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Vertica. Many other things are there. Advanced configuration management, clustering, commands, crypto, database, files, identity, inventory, messaging, monitoring, network, notification, packaging, remote management, storage, system utilities. So many things, what all things which we can do. See. First we see the networking, then web infrastructure, databases, advanced configuration management. These all can be done with an Ansible. Ansible architecture, how the Ansible has been architecture means like how the way it has been made it up, like how like that Ansible software is running for us in our Ansible master. Modules, plugins, inventories, playbooks, and APIs. APIs means application programming interfaces. Okay, so modules, plugins, inventories, and playbooks. Modules. Modules are like a small programs that Ansible pushes out from a control machine to all nodes or remote hosts. The modules are executed using playbooks, and they control things such as services, packages, and files. These modules are nothing but that we will get it like roles like that, we will get it. Ansible executes all the modules for installing updates or whatever it is required the task is, then remove them when it is finished. Ansible provides more than 450 modules for everyday task. Plugins. As you probably already know, many other tools and performance platforms, plugins are extra pieces of code that augment functionality. Ansible comes with a number of its plugins, but you can write on your own as well. Action, cache, and callback plugins are 3 examples. Inventories. Inventories are nothing but the host file. All the machines you are using with Ansible, the control machine plus nodes, are listed in a simple file along with their IP addresses, databases, servers, and so on. Once you register the inventory, you can assign variables to that any one of the hosts using a simple text file. You can also pull inventory from the sources like EC2, Amazon EC2 Cloud, like that. Playbooks, very important. What is a playbook? Ansible playbooks are like instruction manuals for the task to be performed. They are simple files written in YAML format. YAML means ain't a markup language and a human readable data serialization language. You don't require any special skills to learn the YAML coding. It's very easily to understand. Only the indentation need to be taken care of. When you are typing it, there are some spaces need to be given somewhere, and that is called as an indentation here and there. First, initially, you will be having a lot of problems in doing the indentations. Later, you will correct your own mistakes on your own, no problems. That's how I learned. Okay, next. Playbooks are really at the heart of what makes Ansible so popular because they describe the task to be done quickly and without the need for the user to know or remember any particular syntax. Wow. Any particular syntax. If you are managing a new set of routers, there is a router called Viata. I don't know why there was I don't know why. Means like Viata routers are Viata routers are existing like that. I just not even know that. There is routers other Viata or some customer has come up with YOS. That YOS has got its own set of commands which I don't know that. I just need to go and practice it. That's what I was thinking. But after coming into the Ansible, I can manage that YOS routers by without knowing that Viata commands itself. That is what syntax is not at all required. You can write it in, if you want to take a backup, and you can write that English word take backup, and you just give the name of the what is it, the router only. That's it. Whatever it may be, the brand of it. The Ansible will take care of all. Additionally, we will be installing those roles, like the modules should be installed already on the Ansible box, so that the unknown branded routers also can be managed through the Ansible. And as well as if you don't know the commands of the particular router, also you can manage it. And not only declare configurations, but they can orchestrate the steps of any manually ordered task and can execute tasks at the same time or at the different times. Anytime you can run it. That's all. Each playbook is composed with one or more multiple plays. Play is nothing but tasks. And a goal of a play is to map a group of hosts, well-defined roles represented by the tasks. Like that. So one playbook can do multiple tasks. And one playbook can do multiple branded routers. It can manage, it can update, it can patch, it can update configurations as well. So accordingly, the roles and commands need to be given for the proper syntaxes. We can run and manage the entire network within a click of, within just a single command or something. Then APIs, various APIs, application programming interfaces are available, so you can extend the Ansible connection types, meaning more than just SSH for the transport. We can use the API also to talk to the devices. These are all the Ansible docs. Ansible docs like that, we can just go and click on this, we can go to that, but these docs links are always getting updated. So even if you try to bookmark this, some of the things, after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, if you try to visit the same link or something, it says outdated. So better you go to the docs.ansible.com and search for the things which you are looking for. That would be nice for you. So let me click this link, whether it is goes or now. Let me see. I just click this. It's coming. Okay, this is the documentation part which you are seeing here. So better you see the documentation from the Ansible site itself. Don't go for anywhere else, because people may be confusing you. If you're going through the blogs or something like that, they write in their own way. You will not get anything out of it. So better you see common Ansible scenarios. It's for a public cloud. This is for network technology. This is for virtualization and containerization. Let's see the network technology guides. Network technology, Cisco ACI, Cisco Meraki, Infoblox. Hello. Hello, people.
You asked something?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because there was a small power fluctuation in my place that makes me, like go out. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing my screen.
Not. Yeah. Now it is showing starting. Now we can see.
Okay. So like that's what I was telling you. Like please try to have the links and all like that. Even if you bookmark it out, the links may not be so much accessible so easily. Better you just try to go to that site and directly accessing all these things. YAML syntax guide, public cloud guides. Like that, every other programmer, every other vendor has updating their own kind of Ansible modules and other things in their own sites or something. We can go and access that. Cisco Nexus, Cisco Meraki, and Juniper, and Palo Alto, Checkpoint, whatever it may be. You can just go to that own site and they will be updating their own Ansible things for that. So there won't be any problems for you. Like, I will like to show you a small demonstration on this. Before that, I guess we come to the end of this session on this. Means like, we'll be showing a small demonstration on a Cisco Nexus box. I will show you, don't worry. And this is my, as usual, I show my numbers and contact details about here. You can subscribe to my channel on the youtube.com. That's Ramnath Kesav is there. You will be seeing all the videos has been posted on that. And you can send me a mail, you can talk to me on this to understand the new courses as well. Like, so I've been conducting not only this automation, I was using that, used to connect for a cloud as well. As someone has asked me about the Azure, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, everything I used to take, Cisco and everything I'm taking on that. So according to the courses, you can talk to me on this. So if you have any questions on Ansible, you can ask me now. I am open to this. Okay, last slide. If you have any questions on this, you can ask me, or you can put it on a chat so that we can have it. You can unmute your mic and you can ask me any questions. I'm ready to answer that. Else we will go directly to the demonstration which I have integrated the Nexus in the GNS3. Nexus platform requires a heavy memory, definitely. Nexus, the OS which we can get it, Cisco Nexus OS, we can get it very easily. In the internet, you can download that. You're not going to crack or anything like that. But it requires a heavy memory. If you are using the Nexus 7K, we require to have at least 3 GB allocated for each router. If you are using the Nexus 9K, 9000, we require to give the 8 GB for each single Cisco 9K, Nexus 9K. That's a problem. We can do it with the 7K. Many other practicals we can see that. And I would like to show you the Ansible, like Ansible automation with the Nexus 7K. I would like to show you. So any questions if you'd like to ask about any Ansible things or something, I'm very much open to that. You can throw your questions about that. I'm waiting. I see people are there.
Not from my side. Actually, I was hoping to be a bit of hands-on, but that's fine as any sort of doing.
Okay, if anyone else has got some any kind of doubts or kind of like whether they can perform, whether they can do something like that, if you have any kind of questions on that, like coming into the programming side from the networking, only the commands which we used to run in our job, but suddenly coming into the programming, in the sense, it will be a problem for us. So I was just thinking about that only. So if you can ask me like any questions related to that learning coding skills or something, so I can answer that. If nothing is there, we will go to the like the demonstration, and I guess everyone can see my screen. GNS3 screen is there. Can you see the routers in that? There are two routers are there. One is a Cisco Nexus. This is Cisco Nexus, and this one is the network automation box, which I installed on this. Let me start this automation thing first. Let me start this, and I will start this Nexus also. I'm sorry. So this is a small setup which I made it, like with this network automation. This is an Ansible which is running on this. It's a 299 which is running on this box. And I managed that Cisco Nexus OS. Let me take the console also. I'll take the console also of this. It's coming up. Please wait, I'll show you that. This is Nexus box has come. Let me take this here. So automation is starting up. The Nexus is booting now. You can just see that this is the version which I'm using. 730D11. Checking all the file systems. So it may take up its own time because there are some different modules are there in this, like Ethernet modules are there. 3 or 4 modules are automatically installed on this, and we can use it for like normal, like normal command and practicing session. Which this is more than enough for us. That Nexus 7K we can try it out with that. Whenever it is getting booted, you will be seeing that the CPU must be going high. Here you can see 50% of the RAM utilization is there, but it is very much manageable because I'm just using only the one Cisco Nexus with the one network automation. It's still coming up saying module failure. So this is boot up. And let me see. Cat etc host. So I just need to edit this file. nano/etc/host. Be with me. Just edit this file because I can talk to the server. The 25 is the IP, I guess, which I given. Let me see that. Let me go back here. Let's see. It should come with like an online. Then I can able to log into that Nexus box. I just need to wait until. Still the booting process is going on. Now it's saying Nexus login admin. Admin is the password and username and password. So we may have to wait that. If you would like to see the modules, I can just check the command called show module. It's only one module has come up. Still that this is a supervisor module. There is a 24-bit, 24 port something, 48 port something. Ethernet module will be there. That should be coming up. So now it's coming up. See, module 3 is powered up and detected serial number something is saying. NXOSV. There is a V is nothing but a virtual addition. Show module. Now it's came. So second module has come. Third and fourth will also come up. Totally, we will be seeing the 4 modules on this. Oh, now it came. So if you like to see the IP address of the show IP interface brief, so this is the IP which I given for this E2/1 interface. Through that, the automation is talking to that. Let me ping that Nexus 1. It's working on this. So I can do the SSH to this Nexus Cisco NX1. Then it is asking the password. Sorry. It's an admin. Yeah, admin is the password. So now I am in the Nexus box. Means from the network automation, I can make the session to the SSH through the SSH. That's what I said. SSH -L, login as an admin, then the box name I need to give that. So I've written a lot of codes over here. You can just think that these are all the Nexus related things which I configured. Nexus reboot, Nexus VTP, Nexus BANA, Nexus DNS and NTP, Nexus facts, like this. So I can run the normal Ansible all -i./host, and what I can see like -m raw command I can run that. Let me try if I'm running. I can run this and show version. I can type it -u admin as a user admin. Then it should be asking the password for me. Like, let me see. Show version is a command which I run on this. Means Ansible referring the host file, running the raw command, and the command is raw with using the module as raw, and I'm running the command called show version with the username as an admin. This is the Ansible. All means every other host which is specified on the host file. So now I got it. See, NX1 changed to RC0. Now it is showing that Linux OS software, and it's a demo version of the Nexus operating system, and Kickstart version, system version. What? Sorry, it's gone out of it. Okay, now this is a boot flash file, and when it is created, so many things like how much memory it has been taken. Like, see, this the 3 GB, near about a 3 GB memory. Device name is Nexus 1, and the boot flash is having this much memory. How long it has been up? It's a 4 minutes and 13 seconds. It has been up. So if you like to see another commands, I can run it from here itself. Show IP into brief. Sorry, the command was wrong. Into brief, I need to say BREEF. Admin is the password. So oh, there was a spelling mistake. You just see that there is a IP and int, there is no space. That's why. Now it should be okay. So now I see them. So this is the interfaces which are configured. Ethernet 2/2 and Ethernet 2/1. Same command, if I run it on the 6.0 Nessus, I'll be getting the same output. Same output I'm getting. So these are all the raw module which we are using to run the certain commands on the that remote device which we see. Like that we can write the playbooks also, it is possible. So let me see what all the playbooks are written for Nexus boxes. Nexus VLAN configuration. Let me show you that. Cat nx VLAN 1.yaml. That is a YAML file which I written on this. This YAML file is like, it's an interface config, it is going to do that. Host is a Nexus 1. We are not gathering, we are not connecting to that false like that. I'm going to create that VLAN 11 and 12 by using the module that is called as the Nexus OS config module. So now I just need to verify whether the 11 is existing, 12 is existing already here. Let me see that. Show VLAN. 11, 12 is already existing. So what I do, I will go ahead and change the VLAN numbers, else it will not create it. That is a problem. Nano host, I given it like a small, otherwise it will create a mistake. Then I'll make it as like 11, 13 and 14 I'll create it. So let me save and come out. Now I'll see the file again. So now I am installing it with in this host, I'm going to run this playbook. And what is the commands are going to perform? VLAN 13 will be created and VLAN 14 will be created. After creating it, it will register the output and it will show the output for us in this network automation box only. That is just small explanation about this Ansible playbook. And I will write it with the command called Ansible playbook -i./host. Okay. Then nx VLAN -1.yaml -u as an admin and -k. I will run it. Admin is a password. Now it is running. The playbook is running. Interface config is going on. Actually, I should have made it like that VLAN config. That was a mistake. Now see, it has been updated. Changed it true. It is saying that commands which are run as in VLAN 13 and 14 has been created. You see that failed. It is not failed. That's why it is saying false. Here it's saying changed true. Changed 1, okay 2. Then if I go and see here, the same command show VLAN, if I give that, I'll be seeing that 13 and 14 is created. You see that 13 and 14 has been created on this. So this is a small playbook which I written on this. To run the playbook, we will be giving a command like this, Ansible playbook. Then we need to call the host file, then the playbook name of the file, then as which user you are running the command and with which password you are running it, with you are running this playbook. Then it will be showing like interface config. Actually, it was the wrong one. I should have written like that VLAN config. It's not a problem because it's a description only. Like that, we will be able to run multiple playbooks on this on Nexus VLAN. Nexus like that. So many things are the Nexus rebooting, NexOS pinging, SNMP configurations, VLAN membership configuration, VTP we can do that, NTP configuration, banner we can create, like that. So I have written so many codes on this. You can just see that. So like we can do multiple automation by using the Nexus also. We can run that. For that we just need to install a certain like a module in the network automation box. In the network automation box, if I run this command, I will be able to see that what all things are installed on this. Pip3 list I can give. See that these are all pip. Pip means Python installer package. Pip list also you can see that. So these are all I installed on this Paramico, Cisco, PyYAML, and VL and SAY. So many things are there which are required for us to know that. Jinja 2, IP addressing. So some of the modules which are required to talk to the Nexus box or something, so that we require that. So I have installed all these things already, been ready. And in the Nexus boxes, we don't need to configure anything as such. Just leave show configuration. Configuration. Now it's coming. Show running configuration. Just see. This I can see that. That's a normal Cisco command. You can see. So this is a host name I given admin Cisco, other passwords are there. So VLANs are created on this interface VLAN and IP addresses configurations. So Nexus also can be managed with the, Ansible. It's very easy. So that's what I would like to show you people on this today. And if you have any questions, you can ask me definitely. I'm very much ready to answer that. And you can contact me on this numbers or a YouTube channel. And moreover, I would like to expect your email addresses here, so that I can send you the PPTs and video to your emails. I will not bother you so much. Please don't worry. I am expecting that everyone giving their email address here, so that I will be sending you these recordings, and as well as the the PPT is also to you. And if you have any questions also, you can ask me. I'm very much ready to answer that. Hello? Anyone there? Yeah, people are there. Please.
Yes, we are very much there.
Yeah.
We are very much there.
No problem. Please give me your email address. I will be sending you all this information to you, and you will be getting it. You will be receiving it. You can go through that, and you can start practicing on your own. And the sessions I will be able to conduct. Currently, there are 2 sessions which are going on for Ansible for network engineers. I can join you. Otherwise, I can start a new session for you. Yeah, Shah has given the email address. Everyone can give your email address, not a problem. And you can get this. Thank you for session attended live today. Usually I refer your recording. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bratin, sir. Anyway, nice. So if you have time, please log in. Otherwise, it's okay, sir. I will be sending you the the recordings as well, because people are quite. It's because of even the weekends also we used to work on some changes and all. So it's not easy for us to be on a live session or something. You can see that. That's why I never fail to update that my channel with the whatever the new things demo which I'm making on. That's the same day I used to apply it. And other people can give me your email, and I will send you all the recordings and this PPT also to you. You will not get any other mails from you. Don't worry. I will not ask you to join my classes and take my sessions. No way. And if you are not having any much questions as such, it's not about only the Ansible or Python or something like that. You can ask me about anything. Either is a cloud computing sessions or Cisco sessions or the firewalls or the load balancers. Load balancers, I am getting them by people who are try to join me by seeing my demo the last week, like that. I'll be keep on giving some kind of a demo on every Sunday. If possible, please join live. Else, I will be definitely giving you an update about the YouTube link to you, so that you can watch that again anytime that's possible. And please give me your email address and phone numbers if possible, if you like to give it. And moreover, if you don't have any questions about any kind of a sessions or Ansible or automations or something like that, we can go ahead and close this session, because it is near about more than an hour we are discussing things on this. I'm waiting for your answer. Okay, thank you. Okay. So anyone else would like to give their email address? Please put it on the email address. I will send you directly the the recordings as well as the PPT. I will give it to you. You can refer it. And I'll be taking the Ansible session from the scratch, how to install Cisco routers, how to tune up the Cisco routers, Nexus boxes, Junipers, Arista, and everything I will be taking on. No worries. I'll be taking.
Yeah, this will be very helpful because it will help me to kickstart with Ansible as well. Because I needed some motivation. So that's the agenda of joining this thing.
Definitely.
To have it as in hands-on.
I will be with you when you are installing the new things. I will make up all the sessions by doing by your own like that. I'll be helping you out everything from the scratch.
Actually, my agenda is more over towards learning Ansible rather than fixating towards a product like NXS or something. So once we have a Kickstart, then I can just utilize the same concept for other technologies as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because Ansible is global. It can be integrated with any boxes as well. But only thing is that the box knowledge, if you have already, it's nice because it's very easy to manage. Else, you just need to do by learning something like that, then you can integrate that. That is possible.
Yep, that was my agenda.
Yeah, that's right. So
thanks for the session.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashra. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, if no other questions as well, then I can go ahead and close this session because it's a Sunday, beautiful Sunday. I don't want to take up more time from you people. So you can go and enjoy with your weekend, with your family or something. Okay, then thank you all. Thanks for joining. And please do come back by next week. I will be giving you another session on maybe on Python or something like that. I'm planning for that. So many days I've left. I didn't touch the Python as such. So I will be taking a Python session. And moreover, this channel, please, subscribe to this channel and please update, update your friends and relatives and colleagues about my channel so that they can watch and they can subscribe to me also. Thank you very much for everyone joined for this today's session. Thank you very much. I'm closing this session. Thank you all. Bye.